You must detach from your opinions. If you are attached to your opinions, then you will cease to learn. If you are attached to your opinions in such a way that you feel offended and attacked when your opinions are questioned, then you will cease to learn. You will not be able to hold two arguments at the same time and weigh them out. You're, there will be such a strong bias towards your opinion that you will not be able to see the other argument in the same light, and therefore you will not be able to truly compare the two arguments. So you need to detach from your opinions. You need to get your ego out of your opinions, because if your ego is stuck in your opinions, then you won't change them, and you'll fight tooth, claw, and nail um, to prove that your opinions are right. And you'll die on that hill, even if the other person is clearly right. And you can clearly just take a step back, learn a lesson, detach from your opinion, and see it in the light which it truly is in, and you could learn something. But as it is said, you cannot learn that which you think you already know. And there's another line in um uh it's in Seneca's letters. I forget which letter it is. I think it's his consolation, the Palvius or something. It's one of his letters, but he says, Seneca doesn't say it, but the guy writing to Seneca says, I believe a lot of people could have became wise if they weren't always already wise in their own estimation. So you just holding yourself as being wise can ruin your chances at becoming wise. Or, it's not even about being wise either. It holds true in all arguments. If you hold yourself to be blank, but you're not, then you're stopping yourself from becoming blank. So you need to detach from opinions that could potentially be wrong. Because at the end of the day, opinions are just opinions. And there's nothing wrong with your opinion being changed. In the Self Reliance essay by Ralph Waldo Emerson, he talks about how it's sad how consistent our culture is. And I don't believe he is talking about the consistency that the man has, or the woman who goes to the gym every morning at 6 a.m., who, goes for a walk at the same time, like a schedule like Immanuel Kant, who did the same thing every day at the same time. He's not talking about a consistency like that, I believe. Maybe to Immanuel Kant's extreme, he would criticize that, but I think he's morely talking about consistency in opinions. Say you believe that, I don't know, a republic is the best way to run, or like a democratic. I don't know anything about politics. I shouldn't use that as an example. Oh, think that this person is taller than this person, and you was just the angle you were looking at him, and now you realize that the other person is probably a little bit taller than that other person, but you stick to your opinions, even though the answer is clear as day. You'll start saying, well, is have them take their shoes off, and then they take their shoes off, and he's still taller, and he's like, well, he's not leaning up straight. The other one's cheating, and you have him lean him up straight, and he's like, look at his chin. His chin's pointed down. Have him point your chin up. You're like, it's just his hair. His hair's getting in the way. He's actually, you know what I mean? That was a weird example, but I think you get the point. If you hold your opinion as truth, and you're not open to criticism and actually seeing the truth, then you could be denied the truth. And that's all just because you don't want to be wrong. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. And that's what I guess, like I was saying on the point with Ralph Waldo Emerson, he hates the consistency of people who don't want to be wrong. They want to be consistent in the point they made 2 years ago. If they said 2 years ago that, you know, rich people should be taxed, and then today they say rich people should be taxed just because of the opinion they had back in the day, that's the consistent he's talking about. He doesn't see a problem with someone saying something 2 years ago and then making a complete 180 2 years later and saying that, I have new information I didn't know about. I've changed my opinion and this is what I believe now. There's nothing wrong because when new information you didn't even know enters the equation, it's realistic that your opinion is going to change at least a little bit. So when you receive new information, don't be so slow to change your opinions. Don't be so stuck in your ways and think, well, I said this yesterday. What is everyone going to think about me if I, say this today? You're not you're not your opinions, you're not your ego. You should be searching for the truth and you should be searching for what is right. And if you realize that you were lacking information or you made a quick judgment call and you were wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. There is something wrong, though, with sticking in your ways stubbornly. But there's nothing wrong with admitting that you were wrong. So you have to detach from your opinions or you will cease to learn. And you'll get in a lot of arguments against people that you ultimately agree with. But you're stuck in your ways. And since you stated an opinion a year ago, you feel obligated to hold to that opinion today. But there's been new information brought to the table. You have different information in the equation. So it's obvious that there's a chance that your opinion may change. So don't believe your opinions to be fact. And don't be so slow to change your mind when new information has entered the equation. Detach from your desires or be doomed to a life of